Hey everybody, it's Blaise here, and I've got some new Photoshop brushes that I've created that I'd like to share with you guys, do a little demo and show you how they're used. They're kind of simple, but they're really neat, and I find them really useful. They are brushes that will help you create rain, snow, dust, debris, just general stuff in the atmosphere. So I thought I'd go ahead and demonstrate them, but also give you a few techniques to to create some depth and just show you how I use them. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and dive in. I've gone ahead and started a document here, and what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to open this up. Now you're going to see a bunch of brushes up here. It's actually the first 20 brushes are the brushes that I'm talking about. The one that says 150 right here, all the way down to the other one that says 150. All of these in between. These are the dust and debris brushes that I've created. These here are just some basic brushes from Photoshop that I've uploaded to help me with some of the stuff I want to demonstrate today. But real quickly, I'm just going to show you what these do. I'm going to click on this first one, and this is a rain brush. And I'm just going to run it down the face of this image, and you'll see that what it creates, rather than having to get in there and do stroke for stroke, all of a sudden we've got some rain coming down. The other cool thing about it is that it's directional. So if you want to do, kind of blowing rain that's going in different directions, you can do that as well. Okay, let me go ahead and run through these fairly quickly. Some of them are a little bit more spread out, and you'll see that the sizes vary too, so you can get some nice depth in there. Let me blow that up a little bigger so you can see that. And then here you can even see there's some little splashes in there. Okay, let's go ahead and grab another one. These are a little more pushed out of focus. I'm just trying to, here I was, with this rain, I was trying to capture maybe fast shutter speed as if you were taking a picture, or just different properties of rain falling. The other thing too, these are great for, not only if you're doing a Photoshop illustration, some concept art or something like that, they're also good for photo retouching. If you happen to be working on a photograph and you want to add some environmental elements, these would work great for that, okay? Let me go ahead and jump on to another one here. You can just see all these have different properties. Okay, so there's that. And then I'll just do one more. I'll show you this last bit of rain. And these are a little bit more streaky, as if the shutter on the camera had been opened up a little bit longer. Now, to go along with the rain, I've actually created some water effects, some ripples. And these come in very handy. And I'll show you a little technique that I've developed in getting these to work as well. So I've got several different types of ripples. We've got that. I've got these. There's a little bit smaller. And just that, they just have a different quality. I've got these, which have a little bit of a splash in the middle of them. And the idea is to use these all in combination with each other, so you get some variations when you create a rippled surface. Here's one with little splashes in it. The idea is to get variations in, if you're creating a water surface, you want a lot of different variations in the ripples because the water is hitting at different timing, right? Let's go ahead and jump over to, yeah, this is the other thing that I've created. Along with, let's go ahead and let me do this real quick. I'll throw in some of these little drips. But then also what I've created are just a little splash. I'm going to drop the size down. Little splash brush. So that, you can go in, because they all look alike, well, you can vary them up by adding little splash droplets. Okay, you see what I'm doing here? And they've just got, and that kind of makes everything feel a little bit more, not so much the same, okay? And you can add little splashes all over. And actually, if you wanted to as well, this could be, when we jump ahead, we can use this as a snow brush. And I'll demonstrate that in just a little bit. So here we've got snow. Let me drop this down. So here I've got a little bit of snow, or this could be dust as well. I think of it as snow. I've got other pieces of dust, but this can definitely, be used as debris or something like that in the air. I mean, if you drop the size down, you can get some really fine stuff in here. You see that? And it's just, I'm just scrubbing it back and forth, and you get some nice random dust and debris. Okay? Or, like I said, snow. Now, if you want to be a little bit more designy, I've created actual snowflakes. And here I'm going to brighten that up a little bit so you can see it a little better. But here you can see snowflakes. I'm going to bring that size up, make them really big. See there? And they're all just kind of randomly falling. And once again, like I said, I'll show you in a little bit a couple of techniques on how to create some depth. So we've got those snowflakes. And once again, just like with the ripples, I created quite a few different types of snowflakes just so that you can use them together and get some variations. Like I said, obviously if you're outside, you might not see the actual design of the snowflake, but it might make for a nice illustration. So I decided to go ahead and include something like this. And then here's one last one. Increase that size a bit so you can see we've got these random snowflakes falling to the ground. Okay? Let's jump over to the next bit. Now this, you can see I've created, this is really fine dust or blowing snow, This works really well. And this can be a nice base for, if you want to have snow or dirt, dust, that kind of thing. Let me jump over here. And this one's a little bit finer. You can see I wanted something, there we go. It's very subtle. I didn't, if you want to just add just a little touch, I added just a fine grain of dust here. I can actually drop this size down. And it's very, very fine. Let me lighten this up. It's a very subtle brush. I find I need for it quite a bit in my own work. And it just adds like a nice little texture. You see that? Once again, very, very, very subtle. If you're looking for, if you have a character maybe out in the desert, on a beach, and you just want to add a little bit of grain, a little bit of sand, a little bit of dirt over the front of them, this is a good brush to do that. Okay, let's go ahead and, let's jump over to this one. Now we're going to get into some of the debris, and I found this was kind of neat. This is like little twigs and dirt and dust and all kinds of stuff kind of getting blown up. Comes in very handy if you're doing, wind blowing across a dry field or something, explosions, and I'll give you a little explosion demo. It works really well. Here's another one, just a little bit different than the last, a little bit more dirt and debris stuff coming up, all in random different directions, like so. And one more, more dirt, debris, like so. So all this stuff is very handy for creating atmospheric effects, like I said, or you want to create a little dust and dirt in an illustration or on a photograph. This comes in really handy. So why don't we go ahead and I'll give you a little demo on how you might want to create some of these atmospheric effects. I'm going to go ahead and darken this a little bit. Start with this background, and I'm just going to create a layer over the top to start with. And I'm imagining it being kind of a little bit cold, a little bit dark. I'm going to do like a rainy scene. So I'm going to grab a lighter value, a little bit brighter, And I'm going to go ahead, the thing I'd like to start with, I'm going to go ahead and start with the ripples, okay? And I'm going to imagine that we're looking out onto maybe a pond or a lake or something like that, and we're getting some rain coming down. I'm going to make it very simple, but here I'm just running across the surface here. Now you're going to notice it doesn't go back in perspective, and I'm going to create a little illusion of perspective here in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to my other brush, and notice I'm not really changing the size. I don't need to for this illustration. And the other thing I'm not worrying about is these ripples overlapping, because that's what they do in nature. So I'm not too worried about that. And we'll throw in a couple of these babies. And just, the whole idea is that I'm wanting to fill this up, a few drops here and there. I'm wanting to fill this up and get a nice feel for it, because we're going to add rain in just a second here. So we've got this water surface that's kind of fading off into the distance, you'll see. But the thing that's bothering me about it, you'll notice that there's not really any perspective. All the raindrops that are far away are just as big as the raindrops that are close to us. And if we want things to go back into perspective, we want them to get smaller, right? As they recede, they'll get smaller. So let's go up to Edit, and I'm going to come down to Transform and Distort. And the first thing I want to do is I want to drop that plane down. I'm going to squash it just a little bit, and you'll see it squashes those ellipses. Then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this side in, I'm going to pull this side in, and we're going to create a little bit of perspective. See that? So now everything that's receding is getting smaller. And then all we have to, then you go, well, if you look at it, what happens to these corners? Well, then all we got to do is I'm going to grab this piece right here, and I'm going to drag it out till this corner hits the back, and I'm going to drag this out till that corner hits the back. I'm going to hit return, and now all of a sudden we've got a nice plane that recedes into the distance. And then what we can do is we can come in here, and on some of these drops that are like this, I can just come in and make them a little bit bigger, because they squashed out when we flattened them. But we can just do this, and you'll notice there, look, and it's very, very simple. Nice and simple little drops, okay? Now that we've done that, I can come up in here and grab my splash brush. I'm going to drop that size down, and we'll just come through and I'm just going to hit random little bits, because I'm still imagining, rain, causing raindrops, little splashes of water here and there. So I'm just randomly coming through and just adding little drops. Look how quickly we're doing this. Can you imagine if you had to draw all these little ripples in there? This is the beauty of Photoshop. I love creating these brushes to help people, to give them, these shortcuts. There, so now we've got a nice ripply surface that's receding from a perspective standpoint. It's receding into the distance, and yeah, so we can imagine some rain coming down. Well, another thing I want to think about is that if you look at a water surface as it's being rained on, as it goes further back, because there's so much, like there's little micro droplets and little bits of spray, you might get a little fog on that surface. So I'm going to create a layer on top, or over here, and I'm going to come over to my gradient tool right here. And you can see right up in the upper left, there's a bit where I can make it fade out on top and fade out on the bottom. And so I'm going to find my horizon line, which I imagine is about here, and I'm just going to come up and do this. And I've got it set at about 35% opacity. I'm going to hit it again. I might hit it again. And so as we look at this, we can see now it recedes kind of back into this fog. I kind of like that. So now I'm going to create a layer underneath that fog layer, because I'm going to start creating some rain. And I want this first layer of rain to be kind of the furthest back, all right? So let's come back up to our brushes, and I'm going to grab these right here, these smaller rain droplets, and I want it to kind of come in at an angle, and I'm just going to lightly draw in this rain coming down. There we go. Once again, can you imagine, sitting here going tick, 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 drawing this all in? Now we've got rain that you can just brush right on. And now another thing that I want to do, I'm imagining this rain being pretty far away. I would like to go ahead and blur that out a little bit, just a little bit. So I'm going to come to my filter, and I'm going to go to blur, and then come down to Gaussian blur. Now that's too much, so I'll drop that down, to about 6.4%. Now, it doesn't make a lot of sense if the water droplets on the bottom, if they don't blur out. So I'm going to come, the ripples on the water, if they don't blur out. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to come to filter, blur, blur gallery, and tilt shift. So what I want to do is I'm going to drag this down, and I want to find what I want to be in focus. So this area here, I'm going to imagine being in focus. I'm going to squash it just a little bit. This is the area that I want to be focused. Everything that fades out and fades this way, as it recedes, it will go out of focus, and as it comes forward, it'll go out of focus. All right, and I'm going to knock that up, the blur pixels, about to 19 or so. And so now you can see that it matches up, and see how it fades out in the background there, and it blurs out right here in the foreground. So I'm going to go ahead and hit return. And so now you can see, if I blow this up, what I've done is I've created a little bit of depth of field. All right, you see how as it comes forward, it goes out of focus. As it recedes, it goes out of focus. And then we've got this nice area right in here that's in focus. All right, so we're creating depth of field within our shot. So now I'm going to go ahead and go one more time underneath our mist layer. I'm going to come back up to our raindrops right here. And I'm going to go ahead and jump over to this one. Well, actually, yes, I'm going to jump over to this one now. And I'm just going to go ahead once again. And notice that I'm keeping everything basically the same color. Okay, because everything's kind of a muted gray, cold. I want it to feel kind of cold. So now I've created a new layer over the existing rain layer. And once again, I'm going to lightly draw in some rain. But notice I'm bringing it down a little bit lower into our zone in here. All right. So now we're getting a nice buildup, and I'm going to come down to blur, Gaussian blur. I'm going to push that out of focus just a touch. It's not 6.4 anymore. I'm going to make it like 4.3. Just pushing it out of focus just a little bit. So now I'm going to create a layer over the top of our mist. I'm going to go just slightly brighter with our value because I want the rain to feel like it's coming forward. And I'm going to come over here. Actually, I'm going to increase the size. I'm going to go up. I'm going to use the same brush, but I'm going to go up to 500 pixels instead of 400. And once again, I'm just going to draw this in. And you can see this kind of feels like it's coming forward. All right? And it's fast. It's a little bit blurred, so it's dropping in fast. Now I want to jump over to here, and these are a little streakier. So I'm just going to add, a couple of random streaky raindrops coming in. All right, there. And now I'm going to keep those in focus as well. Now I want to do one more layer over the top. I'm going to push the value way up. I'm going to come back to our brush that's slightly blurred. I'm going to really push the size. I'm going to knock it up to, let's say, 800 as an experiment. And I'm just going to drop these in real quick. These are extreme foreground raindrops. And then I'm going to come up to the filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And because they're so close, I want to increase that blur on them so they just feel like they're really close to camera. And there. So now you can see, feels like we've got a nice rainstorm coming in, and we've got all of our water droplets. Maybe the water, we want to push the darkness of the water. Well, I can create a layer right over the top of that, on my base layer there. And I'm going to go kind of dark with that value, and I'm going to maybe push the hue a little bit. And I'm going to set this to multiply. Come back to my gradient tool. And I'm going to come from the bottom go up. Look at that. I can push that darkness so that some of those the ripples in the foreground will show up a little bit better and recede as we go into the distance. All right, so now we've got a rainstorm coming down on a little, pond or something like that, and we just did it very, very quickly. Let's go ahead and try something new. Let's go ahead and we've done our bits of rain. Why don't we go ahead and try some snow? So just like we did with the rain, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a nice light color, and I'm lightly, very lightly, you can see, because this is the other thing about these brushes, is that they're pressure sensitive. The lighter I go, the more detailed and delicate it'll be. You can see if I press down hard, I get something that's a little more harsh. So I'm just going to lightly lay this snow in. There we go. Just like so. And just like we did before, with getting the depth, I'm going to come up to my filter, my blur, Gaussian blur, and I'm going to blur that out. That feels pretty good because I really want to create some deep depth here because you'll see what we're going to do here in a second. So once again, just like we did before, I'm going to go ahead and add a layer. I might want to brighten that just a touch. I'm going to increase the size of the snowflakes to 500. And now you can see these are a little bigger, they're a little brighter, and it feels like we're getting a little bit of depth there. Now I want to blur these out as well. There we go. And let's drop that back into the 5 range, somewhere in there. Okay? As we come forward, now I'm trying to create that depth of field, so I'm thinking about an area that's probably 30 feet away from me that I'm going to have in focus. And so now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to set the pixel size to 600 now. And these, actually, I've set the pixel size to 600, but I want to brighten it just a touch. There we go. So now they're getting even bigger, a little bit more spread out. I'm imagining the perspective of, the snowflakes in the distance are smaller and tighter, and as they come forward, they're getting bigger and more spread out because of perspective. Okay? So there's our ones. They're going to stay in focus. I'm going to create another layer on top, go a little bit brighter. Now let's go really big. Let's go 900 with that pixel size. Now I'm going to draw right over the top, really hard. There. And you can see those are quite a bit bigger, but now as they come forward, they're dropping out of focus. They're coming through that little field of focus that we have. So they're going out of focus. So I'm going to go to my blur, Gaussian blur again, and knock them out just a little bit. So now you can see we're getting a bit more depth. And then I want to go one more time because I'm imagining snowflakes really close. And let's go like 1300 with them. And we'll just drop them in one at a time. There we go. There we go. There. All right, and then since those are really close, we're going to go to filter again, blur, Gaussian blur, and blur them out quite a bit. And now look at that. We've got a lot of depth with all this snow coming down. And one thing we can do is go ahead and put a layer underneath all of that. And we've got I'm going to drop down that value just a bit, right in this range over here. I'm going to grab one of these basic brushes. I'm just going to go ahead and create, what if we create like a little snowscape? I'm going to do it very quickly just so you can get a sense of how it all looks. So I'm just drawing in some snow, and I changed the value. I brought the brightness of this snow down so that you could see the snow that we created over the top of it. Okay? So you can see a little bit in there. Maybe we'll have a little hill. Yeah, it just kind of recedes back like so. And then I'm going to create a little layer behind the snow, and let's go down into our greens. Bring that size down just a little bit. And we'll go, let's make make like a little tree. And I'm just gonna do this very quickly. We'll do like a pine tree. And you'll see how quickly we can create this little landscape. You know, and adding this atmosphere, the snow, it really adds a lot to the feel, to the mood, to the temperature. It just feels cold, you know? We'll have that go back there. And I'm just randomly, very quickly, just creating these pine tree shapes with this real basic brush. Maybe there's one back here. But now you can see we've got this nice, maybe we've got a big one going right off the top of the frame. Let's do that. I like playing with when I'm doing my illustrations, I like breaking the borders. It feels like there's a world outside the border of the illustration itself. There we go. Like he's right in the foreground. Maybe we go a little bit darker with it. There we go. Push that a little bit more. Maybe we create a few shadows inside. There. And then we can go a little brighter, a little lighter with it. A little smaller with our brush, maybe back here. There's a couple of trees off in the distance. But you can see how handy these snow brushes came in. There we go, something very simple. There's a very simple landscape, but the snow really adds a lot to it. It's very, very, very simple. And let's go ahead and I'm gonna turn the snow off. So you can see how basic this little landscape is that I created. What if we went ahead and added some of these other ones, what if we created, I'm playing with our snowflake brushes, the ones that are actually looking like snowflakes. Here I'm just randomly, very quickly laying, the first one in. And since they're so small, I'm not gonna worry about making them super random. But I'm just laying it all in very, very fast. I'm going to push them out of focus. There we go. Just a touch. There we go. And those trees, actually, they should go out of focus just a bit. There we go. We'll do that. So now that snow feels like it's coming forward. Let's go ahead and add another layer. And I'll just jump to the other snowflakes. We'll increase the size and just have some fun with it. I'm going to brighten that up a bit. And once again, like I was saying earlier, this can be, if it's something kind of designy and you just want to have fun making it feel like there's real snowflakes there. So I'm just adding a bit of variation, and then once again we can filter, blur it, and then add one more layer on top. Let's jump to this one. Look at that, we're getting a nice feel to those snowflakes coming down. There. So just like the other ones, you just have fun with it. So now we got a little snow scene with the snow coming down. And what if we add one more layer and go big? We'll go really big with them, right in the foreground like so. And then filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and really knock the focus way out. And so all of a sudden now you've got some very heavy downfall of snow. So And there, anyway, there we go. There's that. Let's I want to show you something you can do with your dust and debris. This will be something kind of extreme, but I'm going to go ahead and let's create something kind of dramatic. I'm going to create this foreground element first. I'm just going to paint it in like so. Now I'm going to create an explosion. So I'm going to break up this ground in the foreground like so, just a little bit, as if there's going to be an explosion breaking up the ground here. And just like I did with the trees, I'm just going very quickly. I'm not laboring over it. Just trying these, being very quick with these little brushes, okay? Now I'm going to create a layer underneath this ground layer, this ground plane that I just created. And let's get some nice, strong explosion colors in here. So I'm going to use the same brush. I'm going to go really big with it. And you'll see what we're going to do in a second. As you can see, I'm being very, very, very quick and very loose with it. Boom. Nice bright orange. Going really big. There. Just a very simple, basic brush. But as we get closer and closer to the interior of that explosion, we're going to get hotter and hotter, right? So I'm going to go a little bit brighter with that, with the color, a little hotter. There, you can see it's getting a little hotter in there. And then I'm going to go a little smaller with the brush now. And I'm going to go even hotter with the color. Boom. I mean, even that's just kind of a cool effect. And this is just a very basic brush. I'm going to go a little smaller. And now I'm going to go really hot with it. Right there. Maybe that's where the center of the explosion is right in here. Now, I want it to feel like there's a big, like it's really blowing out fast. So I'm going to come up to my filter and I'm going to go to blur and radial blur right there, okay? And you can see it gives me two options. I can do a spin and it'll blur everything this way, or I can do a zoom and it'll blow everything like this way towards you. And that's kind of what I want to do with this explosion. And you can see it kind of sets it up as a square. The center of my explosion is down in here. So I'm going to pull that center right down in here like so. And it's set for 51 pixels. I'm just going to hit OK and just let's see what it does. Let's see what we get out of it. Boom, look at that. So now we've got this really great base, this cool explosion that we can work with. It just feels like everything's blowing outward. So now that we've got this base, I'm going to go ahead and create another layer behind it. And I'm going to grab this color in the foreground, maybe lighten it a hair, come back to our brush, and I want it to feel like there's a little bit of ground maybe behind the explosion so it doesn't feel so flat. So I just wanted to add that second little layer back there, okay? So now we've got that. Now, this is the whole reason I wanted to bring this up. I'm going to create a layer over the top of the fire, the explosion. I'm going to create a layer over the top of that. I'm going to go ahead and grab this value right here, the color of the ground in the foreground, and now I'm going to use this dirt, this dust and debris. This is where this comes in handy. Watch this. Because this is so loose and everything. I mean, we've got lots of circles and stuff. We want it to feel like the ground is really breaking up. So I'm just going to come in and boom, look at this. See all the dirt, all that dirt's flying out of there? Just randomly hit some of that. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. And I can change the size and go big with it. I'm going to go like 700. We'll do that. Now we got some even bigger pieces. Bang, look at that. Twigs and, dirt and everything. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this other one, go a little bigger with it. same thing. But I've got a little bit more variance in what the, all the debris looks like. Maybe we just go right over the top of that. Look at all that debris flying out. Like so. And now we can come up to, maybe we use, we'll just try this one. Yeah, see, there's some nice dirt flying out. But maybe we can come over here. Let's grab some of this, some of that snow. Remember we used the snow earlier? Well, it might make for some nice, look at that. For some nice like dirt and rock flying out. See, now we've got a nice cool explosion. Now maybe behind that explosion, we want more debris, but that's catching the light. Right now, all the debris that we're looking at is silhouetted against the fire, the explosion. Well, if we're looking around the other side, maybe that's lit up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna grab some of that color of the explosion, maybe darken it just a hair. And I'm gonna come over here, maybe throw in a little bit of debris back there. I'm gonna brighten it a little bit. I'm gonna go back to our debris brushes. Maybe some of that, see how that's catching a little bit of light in there. Maybe we can grab some of that fire and maybe it's burning some of that debris. So I'm gonna go back and create another layer over the top and we'll create some debris like this. See, that's stuff that's right in the fire and it's really getting lit up. See that? Creating all this stuff. Now I can come in here, maybe go a little warmer towards the gray, a little bit lighter, and I can come in here over the top. Over the top, I'm gonna create a layer right over the top of this front ground plane. Maybe we got some debris in there, and I'm gonna increase that size. Boom, so this is all blowing out. So now all of a sudden we've got this really great feeling explosion. The other thing I can do, I can go back to our original layer, that ground plane, and I'm gonna grab my smear tool, which is right here, my smudge tool, and I can smear some of this like it's getting blown out. And just, once again, be really random with it. The whole idea here is just to, not labor it so much. I'm gonna grab some of this color and once again, right over the top. There we go, right there. I'm just gonna go ahead and add, whoops, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and add just a little bit of bigger debris. Maybe this will work. Right there, little bits in there. That's just our water droplet, our water drop brush. So we got a few pieces coming out that way. So now look at all that debris, how that's working. That works really well. We just painted it so fast. Now there's one more thing we can do. Watch this. I'm gonna go ahead and copy that. I'm gonna bring this up. So now we've got all our layers stacked. I'm gonna just go ahead and flatten it. So now I've merged these layers together. So now everything is on one layer. Now watch this, I can have some fun. I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna go really hot with the color. I'm gonna go ahead and grab maybe like this brush here again. I'm gonna make it really big, like so. And I'm gonna knock the opacity way down to like 5%, take that off. And I'm gonna go to color dodge. I'm gonna come in here and just start hitting it. Now watch this. Notice how it's getting really, really hot in there. Really, really hot. And the stuff that's silhouetted is getting hot as well. So now it feels like, man, there's a lot of light coming out of there. See that? Boom, that thing's really blowing up. See? All done with these debris and dust brushes. So now you got this really cool explosion. Now you can do the same thing. We've got it all set for color dodge. I can knock that opacity up a little higher, keep it at color dodge, and maybe we go back to our debris brushes, and maybe these are pieces that are really, really kind of hot. We just blow them out. You can see they're kind of getting burned into the imagery. There we go. Let's burn them right in. Go even hotter with it. Boom, boom, boom. See that? So that looks like maybe a bomb has come down or something. But anyway, that's my dust and debris. You can do all this stuff that I'm showing you, all, you know, one line at a time, but it's a lot more fun, and it's fun to experiment when you have these brushes and you can just brush it on and see what kind of results you get. That's what I do with them. I kind of think of what I need to solve. I think of a problem that I have. If I want to create atmosphere, or if I want to create rain, like I was talking about earlier, these are problems that I have in my own illustrations, and so I create these brushes to solve my own issues, and I want to share them with you guys. So if you're interested in them, I've got them at my website at creatureartteacher.com. But even if you don't get the brushes, go ahead and use some of these techniques I was showing you as far as creating depth, using your Gaussian blur and multiple layers to create depth in your atmosphere, whether you're creating snow or rain. And then this explosion here, it's the same kind of thing. Think about different layers, and also using that color dodge is a lot of fun. You can get things to feel really hot. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. And until next time, have some fun drawing and painting, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, please hit the red subscribe button down below. Spread the word. And also, if there's something that you're not seeing that you'd like to see, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks a lot.